It was my fault. So I want y'all to put your hands together for the one and only. It goes by the name of Taj, y'all. What's up? What up? No.
Come on, baby, do you?
All right. All right. So this is a new piece. It's called Ringtones. The first cell phone weighed 4 pounds. 3 decades later, my droid weighs 6 ounces. Both are still heavy, though. Must be from the added weight of sweat and blood. A quick history lesson. James Jameson of Jameson Whiskey. You know, you've seen the commercial where his pops battles a giant octopus over a barrel of whiskey. He goes on an expedition to save the European governor of Nigeria. He buys a little girl and offers her to cannibals just to see how they cook and eat a person. Another quick history lesson. John Rowlands, a bastard child and a delinquent from Wales, moves to the U.S. Bayou and buys him and sells himself to a man who wants a son. And he eventually copies his name and copies his New Orleans accent and gets famous for finding a lost missionary. Quick history lesson. A king, not quite a king, can't sell manifest destiny to his kingdom, so he creates his own Halliburton church to bring the crucifix and paved roads to pygmies and the Maasai and turn the motherland into Black Belgium. And the sword that he uses to carve through the jungle is John Rowlands, a.k.a. Henry Morton Stanley, who presumably found Dr. Livingston. And he would be the king's queen on the African chessboard, whose expeditions with whiskey heirs would give title of the Congo to King Leo II. A quick economic riddle for you. How come Saudi Arabia doesn't manufacture a car? A quick economic lesson for you. Rwanda makes $20 million a month exporting minerals that they don't dig out of the ground in their own country. And in the year 2000, Uganda had a 25% increase in the number of cars driving in their country from hijacking the country next door. Kinshasa is now New Jack City, and niggas there don't gangbang because they don't have their own blocks to claim. And the very dirt they walk on is sold and stolen and sold for bullets. Bullets that they duck from. Bet they wish they had a cell phone, an Android or an iPhone, or even that big Motorola Dynatech from '83. And would they furiously dial with their fingers and give themselves turn-of-the-century flashbacks of ancestral hands that furiously dialed to collect rubber sap? And if they didn't collect enough rubber sap, they would get their hands chopped off and they would get smoked and preserved like jerky. Dismembered hands sent back to Belgium, a daily metric ton of proof of the corporate bottom line. I can see the commercial, you're in good hands with King Leopold. And who would these children of the Congo call? Would they call their mama in tears? I don't think she would answer if she looked at the caller ID. The rape of a countryside not quite like or close to her or her sister's rape. Ethnic incest as their brothers from Uganda and Burundi and Rwanda insert AK barrels in their motherhood and sometimes pull the trigger. The sisters hold in tears because that's all they can hold in. They sneeze and they piss themselves. They cough and they shit themselves. Their beautiful headscarves are gone because they need the material for their own diapers. And they search desperately for something to drink for their babies, the ones that are left alive, because they have no milk, because they have no breast, because they've been sliced off and sometimes fed to their own babies. And where can they find but dust to wash the taste of themselves from the parched and desperate mouths of their sons and daughters? What can these mothers give birth to except dust? Columbium and tanzanite dust that sells a couple of $100s a kilo. Crack cocaine from Nokia and Motorola, cooked and shooked on corporate stoves. And the end product of these metal keys is the ability of you and I to connect to 4G. To check our Facebook, update our Twitter, call grandma who always answers no matter the caller ID, and text in cyberspeak, LOL and OMG, while the capacitors from these Congolese coltan, whose highly productive and highly conductive properties maintain the never quite long enough battery life that makes my cell phone really light. Maybe that text you accidentally sent to the wrong person is the jungle's vengeance. Maybe those dropped calls land in the scarred laps of sterile mothers. Maybe it ain't you pushing those buttons, but it's the ghost of those dismembered hands. Call it Kinshasa's revenge. Call it King Leo's curse. Call it a payback for that girl boiled alive for the sake of illustration. Calls from a billion particles of mineral dust that cry out for balance and respect and reverence merged densely and endlessly in your cellular circuitry. Now that I think about it, my cell phone ain't really light. It's pretty fucking heavy. Maybe it's from the added weight of all that sweat and blood. Peace.